Missing 3 things: a mother, a father, and a voice. I don't know what that was. She is such a popular author, they can't not do sprayed or stenciled edges for this. They simply can't. So Clytemnestra, or this is gay, it's magical, there's a murder. Welcome back to another video. My name is Ro and today we are doing a Waterstones pre-order haul. So this weekend it is obviously Black Friday, or it was yesterday, and Waterstones are doing triple stamps. Now if you don't know what this is, Waterstones basically give you a £10 voucher for every £100 that you spend at Waterstones. So if you spend £10 10 times, you get a full stamped thing that you can get £10 off your next order. Now the way this works when they have triple stamps on is basically for every £100 you spend, you'll get 30 quid back ish to spend on your next stuff. If that doesn't make sense, please don't worry, it's not really that complicated. You don't really need to know. All you want to know is that you want triple stamps when you can get triple stamps. Because usually the discounts aren't that good at Waterstones, let's be honest. Now, I would like also to point out that I've left my hair like this because I feel like I look like Cindy Lou Who, and I'm really enjoying that vibe today. I cannot wait for Christmas. I'm so excited. But today I have spent about £200 at Waterstones. Now please don't panic, this is not all in one go, because guess what? You already knew it, it's in the title. I have done all of my pre-orders at once using the triple plus stamps. Now I know a lot of my viewers, Becca, Lisa, Liv, so many of you will have already done this on the same day as me, but just for those who have not, or who don't know about this, or who don't know about this little tip, hack, whatever you want to call it, basically I went back through my orders that I've ordered throughout this year, or my pre-orders, because what I tend to do is I just pre-order something immediately if I really want it. That way I don't miss out if it gets sold out, like for things like Once Upon a Broken Heart, Empire of the Vampires. Stuff that's really popular does tend to sell out on Waterstones if it's a special edition. So today we're going to go through all of the books that I've pre-ordered. They are all special editions, other than like one, I think, but we'll get there. And essentially I just wanted to show you what I am pre-ordering for next year, but I went back through all of my pre-orders, cancelled all of them. Now you may not be able to do this, but please do not panic. You can go to your orders, look through them. You'll notice there may not be a cancel button, especially if you've ordered them within other orders where the other books have already arrived. Do not panic. Waterstones now have an online chat service. So go on to contact us, and right at the top there should be a contact us live chat. They will cancel them for you. No worries, you just need the order numbers, which are written on your account. It's easy peasy. Also, do not panic because it takes about 10 minutes for their cancellations to go through. So don't go panicking and going, oh my god, it's not cancelled, I can't do my order. You can do your order absolutely fine. I was sat there waiting and refreshing, waiting for it to say cancelled, and it did after about 10 minutes. So there's that. Other than that, that's just kind of all I need to say about this. I am the scam queen, as you guys know. Quotations is not really a scam, more like just a tip. But I want to save money. So let's just dive right into what I've pre-ordered. Very first one, I'm going to get George to put up a picture of any sprayed edges that are occurring right in this part here. First one coming up is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. Now this is out on the 20th of January, so very soon actually. This has these lovely green sprayed edges. I will warn you guys that this is highly likely to come up in a Fairy Loot box in January. Either the new adult box, because I think this is adult, or the normal January Fairy Loot box, because people have seen Anissa, who is the owner of Fairy Loot, raving about this book. People who work at Fairy Loot have been raving about this book, like not just Anissa, she's left great reviews. So if you are pre-ordering and you want to wait and pick, you could always just order this anyway, maybe sell it on, maybe give it to a friend. That's what I tend to do, to be honest. I sold on my Kingdom of the Curse Waterstones edition because I am having the Fairy Loot one coming, etc. You can see which one you prefer, or if you already want that tip that is coming in Fairy Loot, you may not want to pre-order this from Waterstones. But it's entirely up to you. I am extra as fuck and I like to have all the pretty editions. So I've pre-ordered it. Now this is the first in a duology called The Celestial Kingdom is the name of the duology. And I know that it is a fantasy, magic, romance, mythology, and it takes the legend of the Chinese moon goddess and kind of reimagines it and retells it. Basically, I mean, I'm not going to read out every single synopsis, but this one I am very, very excited for. I've seen a lot of people raving about the arcs that they've gotten for it. So, a young woman's quest to free her mother pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. She also grew up on the moon. She discovers her own magic. Alone and powerless and afraid, she makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. And yeah, it just sounds really fucking good. I'm not gonna lie to you. East Asian fantasy in particular is like my kryptonite. I 99% of the time will enjoy it no matter what. Just because I love the certain tropes, the certain retellings, the certain mythology behind it. It just really, really interests me and I find it highly entertaining. So this one in particular I am very excited for. Next is one that I actually added today. So I did go back through my pre-orders and re-pre-order them, but a few of these I have actually added today because I've seen them on the website. Next up we have the Embroidered Book by Kate Hartfield. Now a couple of these are not going to be pure fantasy. I've actually kind of broadening my horizons into more general fiction, but with like maybe a little fantasy twist because I do really enjoy those stories and I kind of want to branch out a bit more because I always feel like it's a good palette cleanser for me in between my really big fantasy reads. So this is the Embroidered Book. You can see it's got the navy sprayed edges here. So this is a compelling magical take on the rise and fall of Marie Antoinette and the coming of the French Revolution. 1768, they're sisters, so Marie Antoinette had a sister. So Charlotte arrives in Naples to marry a man that she's never met. 2 years later, her sister Antoine is sent to France to marry another stranger. In the mirrored corridors of Versailles, they rename her Marie Antoinette. When these sisters were children, they discovered a book of spells with consequences. So basically it's just very political, kind of political historical fiction with a slight twist of fantasy on top. So I am very, very excited to branch out a bit more into this kind of stuff because I really, really enjoy having a twist on history. Hence why I basically enjoy stuff like the Poppy War. When I talk about East Asian fantasy as well, it tends to be very, very based in history. Obviously they take many creative liberties, but I just really like it. I also really like the Tudors and Victorians and like it's stuff like that I actually really, really enjoy. So I think I might branch out a bit more into that era of like English history, hoping that there will be some kind of fantasy to go along with it. So the next one is called The Leviathan by Rosie Andrews, and you can see this has gorgeous sprayed edges, the same as the cover. Now, this is kind of, again, historical fiction with that slight twist of fantasy. So it's in Norfolk, which is a place in England, if anyone doesn't know. 1600s, civil war is tearing England apart. This soldier is summoned home by his sister who is accusing a servant of having sex with her dad or something. Something strange and historical dramery. So the father has a stroke. The new servant is in prison facing charges of witchcraft. And the main character, Thomas, he's kind of unraveling this mystery of what's happened to his father, this witchcraft and things like that. And it says something has awoken in England and now it will not rest. And if there is Leviathans involved, I quite like that as a mythology or mythical, I can't even speak. I quite like that as a mythical creature. I've never really read a book about a Leviathan before, so very interested, to be honest. Next up is one that people will not be surprised at, and this is Amari and the Great Game. So this is the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers, out now. If you don't know anything about it, you should. It is one of the best middle grades I've ever read. Not that I've read much middle grade, but still. Middle grade, for me, there's two categories. There's one that I would reread and one that I wouldn't reread. And Amari is one that I would reread, so take with that what you will. As you can see, gorgeous purple edges. Purple's my favourite colour. So I'm very excited for this. The first one is about Amari, who is a child. Obviously she's a child. Basically her brother goes missing. She ends up going to the Bureau of Supernatural, Agency of Bureau of Supernatural stuff. Something like that. Apologies, my brain has gone a bit mashed. She basically finds out what her powers are or what her special thing is, and she trains to become an agent, and the mystery behind her brother she really wants to uncover. Such a great setting, such a great main character. The struggles that Amari goes through being a black girl as well is just amazing, like growing up in a really poor area, people like doubting her, like just because of the colour of her skin, like not believing her about things or thinking that she's being rowdy or, you know, bullying someone. Like, It's really well written. I really enjoy it, and I'm extremely excited for the sequel. Next up is something that no one should be surprised at, and that is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Now, the reason that I've pre-ordered this, even though it says it's not an exclusive edition, or there is no, as you can see, no sprayed edge, it is limited to one per customer because obviously V.E. Schwab is very, very popular. It says signed exclusive edition. Now, usually when Waterstones says that, it says exactly what makes the book exclusive. It does not say here yet. So I feel like now is a good time to pre-order this because no edges have been released. Surely it's going to have edges. Let's be honest. We saw how many editions of Addie LaRue came out. Now, I know that was her baby and it was 10 years long writing, extravaganza, but she is such a popular author. They can't not do sprayed or stenciled edges for this. They simply can't. So whilst there's no reveal, I would recommend you go and pre-order this if you're a V.E. Schwab fan or if you're slightly interested in it before it sells out. That is just my tip. If you're not bothered, you're not bothered. Then we move on. But Gallant is a new standalone. So 16-year-old Olivia Pryor is missing 3 things: a mother, a father, and a voice. I don't know what that was. So her mother vanished all at once, her father by degrees, and her voice was a thing she never had to start with. She grew up at a boarding school, love that setting, and now she's nearing the end of her time there. She gets a letter from an uncle that she's never met, summoning her to his estate called Gallant. The letter she discovers was several years old. Her uncle is dead, the estate is empty, save for the servants. There's 2 rules: don't go out after dusk, and always stay on the right side of the wall that runs along the estate's western edge. Beyond it is another realm, ancient and magical, which calls to Olivia through her blood. Now, this, out of all of V.E. Schwab's books, is right up my street. This is so Spiderwick Chronicles. Like, I am so excited for this book. And not even that it's just V.E. Schwab. Like, if it was any author, this would speak to me. I love boarding schools. I love abandoned houses or, a strange inheritance. I love portal fantasy, another realm, another world behind there. I love this shit. And there's not actually that long to wait because it's out in March. Now, I also will say for this one, in along the same lines as Daughter of the Moon Goddess, this is guaranteed to be in at least a Lumacrate, if not Fairy Loot. They never both have the same book. I don't know how that's going to work with their adult book box coming out, but even if it's not in a box, there will be a special edition. There just will be. Guaranteed. I have to tell you, it will be there. So if you don't want more than one edition and you kind of know in your heart there's going to be more special things about a book box, go ahead and don't pre-order this. But if you're like me, like I said, and you fucking love having multiple editions because you can't control yourself, I would go and pre-order this as soon as you can. Next, we have a couple of Greek mythology retellings. One of these does have special edition sprayed edges and one of them does not, which I'm actually quite surprised by, but we'll get to that. So the first one we have here is Pandora. Look at these amazing stenciled edges. I am shooketh. So this is out in January as well. And Pandora, I mean, if you don't know Greek mythology, Pandora's box, if that jogs anyone's memories. So it's set in Georgian London, where the discovery of a mysterious ancient Greek vase sets in motion conspiracies, revelations, and romance. Again, more of a historical fiction side to it, with that slight fantasy thing on top. So she's a jewellery artist, blah 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 blah. The vase has her questioning everything she believed about her life, her family, and the world as she knows it. Possibly actually no fantasy element to this. More of a historical fiction, definitely. The vase itself is kind of this mystery around it. So I see that sort of like there could possibly be something magical about it. Obviously just a little hint of some fantasy there. But Greek mythology to me in general is very fantasy-esque, mythical, not real. So yeah. The next one is Elektra. I feel like I've not been saying the names of the authors, but Elektra by Jennifer Saint. Now, Jennifer Saint did Ariadne, in case any of you don't remember. There were 2 editions of this, and this is why I'm surprised that this edition has not got any sprayed edges or anything special about it, because Ariadne was itself a normal black hardback, lovely cover just like this. But then they brought out a white cover, sort of like the inverse of the first, because it was so popular. So it does seem strange to me that they're not capitalising on the popularity of Ariadne and doing a special edition of Elektra. But at the same time, it's no bother. I really, really want to read it regardless, so I've pre-ordered it regardless. You can kind of tell that for me, like, if it's not sprayed edge or stenciled edge or whatever, and I still pre-order it, you know it's probably going to be good. Let's be honest. So Elektra is the sister of someone, I swear. Story of 3 women. Okay, so it's about 3 women, but I think obviously Elektra is probably the main story. So Clytemnestra, or Clytemnestra is the sister of Helen, Helen of Troy. Cassandra, who is the princess of Troy. And then Elektra, who is the youngest daughter of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon. There's some curse, and then Helen obviously is kidnapped, and there's an army. Kind of a retelling of Troy, but I think around the edges, the characters around the edges of Troy, to be honest. But I'm very excited for it because I really, really enjoyed Ariadne. Next up is actually also, okay, it's exclusive, but the exclusive part to it is an extra chapter. I'm actually not too bothered about the extra chapter. I just really liked this cover. So this is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. Obviously, this woman did Station 11, which everyone really, really knows, but I have not actually read any of her books. So this is like a tale across time. There's like 3 different timelines, time travel-y stuff. There's 1912, British Columbia. So there's like this experience this guy has, and then 2 centuries later, a famous writer kind of is the same thing, and then the future, I guess. A guy is hired to investigate an anomaly in time, and he uncovers a series of lives upended. So obviously this is quite hard to explain. I would recommend going and reading the synopsis yourself, because it just seems very hard for me to explain to you, because honestly I don't really understand it myself, and that is why I want to read it, because you guys know I absolutely love being confused, and I love like different things coming in here and there, and then it all coming together at the end and me understanding, even though I had no idea what was going on half of the time. That's kind of my favourite experience to have in a book. Not much else to say about this one, to be honest. There's no edges or anything to talk about, so let's move on. Next up is a book that actually is out this year, and this is coming in a book box in December. So if you get book boxes, I try not to spoil things in videos or in lives or anything, because I know some people don't want to know what books are coming. I personally would not be able to stand that. I like to know as soon as they give a hint exactly what is coming in the box. So this is A Marvellous Light by Freya Marske. This is gay. It's magical, there's a murder, it's Edwardian England, so again, historical fiction with the magical twist. Lots of this coming out next year. Clearly I am on this hype train for this type of book. Yeah, not really much else to say. It says this is a comedy of manners, manor houses and hedge mazes, including a magic-infused murder mystery and delightful queer romance. So again, in the synopsis, not much else to say. You can see there are just some normal kind of orange edges. I guarantee, you know, there will be a nicer edition in the book box that it's coming in, but this seemed so good that I just wanted to pre-order it anyway. Next is another one that should become as absolutely no surprise, and this is Silverborn, which is the 4th book in the Nevermore series. This is a middle grade series which I fell in love with. I gave the first one 5 full stars, like no doubt about it. I'm actually hoping to reread the first one and read the next 2 straight after my exams as an act of self-care, which will be 6th and 7th of December, just to let you guys know. And Silverborn, look at it. It's purple. Let's be honest, it's probably gonna have purple edges. It's so far away at the moment. It is October next year. It's out after my birthday, like my next birthday, which is crazy to me. I will be 25 reading this, which is insane. But I am so excited for it, even though I haven't read the 2nd and 3rd book yet. But there has been a huge gap between these books. I think it was 2020 that the 3rd book came out, maybe in like April or something. Please don't quote me on that. But yeah, I am super excited for this. I'm really gutted that I don't have any like sprayed edge versions of the other ones. I don't really count the paperbacks, I mean hardbacks, because the hardbacks are gorgeous. And you guys know I don't really like stiff paperbacks or anything. Like, as nice as the Waterstones exclusive paperbacks are, I don't like seeing edges of a paperback on my shelf. I don't think it looks very nice, even no matter how nice the design is. Like, I think the paperback, I don't know, I'm fussy. You guys know this. Next is another one that I discovered today, and that is Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. As you can see here, there are just some nice black edges to it. And I think this might be another, historical fiction with a fantasy twist. There really is a pattern forming here, isn't there? So this follows a young woman in the wake of the First World War. So she becomes sucked into the glittering but deadly world of an infamous society hostess. I also really love that kind of setting of like debutante balls, you know, what do they call it? Your debut at a ball and things like that. I really like that type of setting. So very excited for that. But it says there's illicit magic, romance, blood debts and murder in this lush and decadent debut novel. She basically, there's witches and stuff. I just think it sounds really, really good. That's out in March actually as well, which is a cool time to have something occult out, I think. Why not? Halloween in March. Next up is This Woven Kingdom by Tahara Mafi. Now, Tahara Mafi has done actually quite a few books. I'm not sure if I've actually read any of them. Oh, it's like Shatter Me and all that, of course. I'm so stupid. But I think Furthermore was the middle grade that she did that I was more interested in. I have that on Kindle, but I have not read it yet. So This Woven Kingdom is a new series, duology, I think it's a series. But it's drawing from Persian mythology. Filled with romance, danger, subterfuge, new epic fantasy trilogy. There we go. If it's epic, oh no. An epic new fantasy trilogy. So it might not be epic fantasy. It might be more like young adult fantasy. So clashing empires, forbidden romance, long forgotten queen destined to save her people. Seems like a fairly typical YA. But obviously the Persian mythology part is what I'm more excited about. To have this different take on these kind of tropes. Let's see. Now, the reason I have ordered this is because it says exclusive edition. Now, this is similar to the Gallant situation. Says exclusive edition with sprayed edges, but there is no picture yet. And this is out in February, which is quite soon to not have any picture of any sprayed edges, but there's gin in it, which I really like. Very excited for this, hopefully getting me back into a bit more of YA. Now, the very last pre-order I have to talk to you about is called Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. This is a middle grade. As you can see, red sprayed edges, and look at that under the cover. It looks amazing. This is a middle grade that I literally just discovered scrolling the page today. So basically, I think it's like there's, you can ride unicorns. So 13-year-old Skandar Smith, he wants to be a unicorn rider. He wants to be one of the lucky few selected to hatch a unicorn. You bond with it for life, train together, race for glory, be a hero. But as his dream's about to come true, there's a dangerous turn, some dark and twisted enemy. So it says, get ready for unlikely heroes, elemental magic, sky battles, and ancient secrets. So that seems amazing. Seems like a sort of How to Train Your Dragon-esque thing, but with unicorns, and obviously a little bit, probably a different kind of plot. But I'm very excited for this. I really, really like the edition that Waterstones have got. It is out in April, so actually quite a few of these are near the beginning of the year. But I know that tends to be because publishing isn't that far ahead. They won't have decided what, like, or announced what kind of editions they'd be doing for maybe stuff later in the year, other than stuff like Silverborn or like, you know, really, really popular stuff. So the last two I want to talk about very quickly are just ones that are out already that I ordered. And one is half price, and that is The Day I Fell Into a Fairy Tale by Ben Miller. This is another middle grade, and it's got those lovely red sprayed edges. And this is basically just a portal fantasy, middle grade portal fantasy about, are they twins or are they just brother and sister? I think they're just brother and sister, into a dark fairy tale land hidden within a new supermarket. And I don't need to know much more, to be honest. I'm happy with that, and it was half price, so it was £6, £6.50 for a hardback with sprayed edges, so you can't really go wrong. And then I noticed that I had like £2 left over to be able to get another set of triple stamps. So I went on my Discord, my Patreon Discord, and asked what should I get, and they came out with the Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. Now, I know this is one that Jade from JD Ray Reads loves as well, and I just thought I want to get something to just tip me over that edge for another few stamps, but also something I could read over Christmas, and just something really light, something I can read anytime I like, just pick up when I'm feeling like shit. And this seems really just really lovely. I think book of the month in November 2017, and it's still going. Like, it came out 4 years ago, still really popular, I think. This synopsis it's quite vague, but, you know, with middle grades, you see is what you get with covers and titles, so I am very excited to read it, hopefully sometime over Christmas, or, you know, in between Christmas and New Year, that kind of thing. But I think that'll be really fun. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Please do remember that I will be talking about quite a few of these in my most anticipated books two-parter video in December as well, but this video is specifically for special editions that I've pre-ordered. Most of the other ones that I will be talking about in those videos don't have a special edition. Either are just paperback or something I think will come up in book boxes as well, so I'm not bothering to pre-order. Hopefully you guys can see the distinction between this video and the most anticipated videos that will be coming in about a month. But hopefully by then also you will have forgotten that I've said all these ones and it'll give you a nice reminder. But please don't worry, there won't be too much of an overlap. Again, this one is about special editions on Waterstones.com specifically. If you don't remember any of the stuff I said about cancelling your pre-orders, feel free to go back and listen to me talk about that. Other than that, if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like. Give me a little stamp emoji in the comments if you were here, but you didn't really have anything to say, but you wanted to let me know that you were here. Make sure you subscribe for future content from me in your inbox. All of my links are in the description, including my Patreon. If you don't know what goes on my Patreon, then this is what you're missing out on.
I currently have still only completed one book in November, but you know, so what are you looking at me for? Yeah, Britt says, how many books did you read this month, George?
Well, I replied to Britt later on in the chat, so that will be my answer.
I will be judged for some videos edited. Well, then I get to be also judged on videos filmed, so I have a +1 up on you because I've also read one book.
Speaking of my Patreon, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone at my deity tier. So that is Becca, Meg, Rachel, Lisa, Lydia, Mercy, Sarah, Tori, Liv, Adinda, and Celeste. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I'll see you on Tuesday in another video. Bye!